Next up on Pensacola Business Radio, we now have with us Director of Entrepreneurial Development with Florida West Economic Development Alliance. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Kelly Reeser. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stone. Good to be here.
Now, we've had a couple of conversations, but there's stuff changing over there in your camp. There's been some developments since the last time you and I talked even.
Very true, very true. And we really have, as an organization, evolved over the last year. We have previously been the Economic Development Division of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. And October 1, actually, of 2014, we were able to separate from the chamber. We rolled out as our own separate 501c6 not-for-profit organization, and the changes that you're referring to are really just the launch and the reveal of our new brand. It's the name Florida West Economic Development Alliance. It's a little bit reverse of the way that you typically hear our neck of the woods referred to. Typically, the university has branded us as West Florida. We are the western side of the state. So when we say Florida West, it changes it up enough to say, well, I wonder what that is. And then the Economic Development Alliance just really clarifies who we are and what we do. We are a relatively small staff. There are 7 of us that work in the business of business attraction, retention, workforce development, and entrepreneurial development.
So tell us a little bit about some of those efforts. I know when I was there, I saw people that it looked to me like they were in startup phase, a very early stage. And so one of the things that you do over there is you provide, I guess, very modest rent and some education, and that talk us through that piece a little bit.
Sure. Just kind of referencing my lane specifically, it's the entrepreneurship piece.
Okay.
So, of course, we have my boss and colleagues. They do some work with the attraction of a business that doesn't have any presence in Pensacola whatsoever, but is already an established business. That's the attraction piece of economic development. And then we have a colleague who works in retention efforts, so keeping the businesses in our community who already have an established presence. Workforce development, of course, spanning all of those and all of the different sectors. But then the entrepreneurial development is like I said previously, that's my lane specifically that I work in. And the primary way that we accomplish that goal is running the Gulf Coast Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which is the office space that you're referencing at Garden and DeVillers Street. And it's for startups in some sense, but really it's for emerging entrepreneurs. We want to say that we come in where it makes sense for you to get out of the garage, and we're just at that point, possibly right before you're able, from a revenue standpoint, to justify Class A office space rent in a building and in a more traditional office space in downtown Pensacola. So we want to be that bridge solution for the entrepreneur. We do have a selection criteria kind of based on the type of business that it makes sense to house in our facility. Our facility we don't have manufacturing space or warehousing space or distribution logistics type facilities, but we target primarily technology companies because we are that office space. And we are looking for companies who are doing something innovative in their field, or they've got some proprietary piece of their business that are doing or have the ability to do the majority of their revenue from outside of the area, therefore bringing that new money into our economy, that new money into circulation in the Pensacola area.
What a cool job. Do you even consider it a job? I mean, no, I'm sure you work very hard. I know you work very hard, but what a cool way to spend your day.
I really have said that I do have the coolest job in Pensacola. I've said that publicly multiple times. And even listening to Robin as she was talking about just her passion for what she does, I feel the same way she does it on the true value of that relationship piece. And I think that's what I love. I think oftentimes economics, or maybe even economic development, can be misconstrued as just numbers. It's taxes and tax breaks and dollars and cents and just deals from just a purely kind of a cold numbers type sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that entrepreneurship, and the reason that I'm so passionate about it is there's the face of the business owner, and it's the passion of the individual that you're championing through the process. And let's bring those tools that can be cold and hard sometimes. Let's bring those tools to bear. There's resources to bear. Let's connect you with the relationship with an individual who can help champion that success. So as Thomas mentioned previously, he's got a passion for baking cupcakes and baking desserts and making those treats, as we like to call them in our household, making those treats available to the general public. And so what can we do and what resources can we bring to bear to make that dream a reality for you. And so that is what I get to do, Dave.
Well, and we all have the benefit of your energy and effort to make that happen. And candidly, what a marvelous environment you have from which to draw. Based on my conversations today, I mean, the wealth of people and resources, not just able, but clearly willing to do anything they can for Thomas, or for Stone and Ryan for that matter, and they met us 2 hours ago. I mean, there's just something about this environment, this business community here in Pensacola that really it just clicks, and they really want to help.
There is definitely a strength and an interconnectedness of the business community in Pensacola, and I do really see that from the entrepreneurial vein. When you have someone who has gone through the pains, as one of your previous guests had mentioned, when you've got someone who's gone through those pains and then they have come out successfully on the other side, we do see a great willingness of them to give back to other entrepreneurs that are coming behind them, but those who are maybe in an earlier stage of their businesses. We do see that willingness, and I don't know if it's something in the water. Thank you, CUA. I don't know, but I definitely see that in my line of work day in and day out.
And you get to take an active role in facilitating and brokering those conversations and those introductions. And you got folks like Robin Richard out there doing it out in her part of the world. So, man, how much fun that has to be. Now, you mentioned we talked about Thomas with the YEA. Don't you have some people connected to YEA right there in your facility over there in Garden? Is that right?
We do. Part of my role in entrepreneurial development is managing that program. So I am, along with Terry and Randy Ramos with Global Business Solutions.
Two more wonderful people. Just marvelous.
Absolutely
people.
Agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are partners with us in that endeavor. And several of my entrepreneurs that do house their businesses at the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship participate either as mentors. We got some of the techies that participate as designers and developers for the student businesses. Bring them in as guest speakers. We had one of my favorite events this past Yay season was we did a CEO panel, and I had one of my tenants, Jeff Phillips, with the company Accounting Fly, was sitting right next to Eve Knight, who was a young entrepreneur from the previous year. So she's a 7th grader, and Jeff Phillips is a very successful entrepreneur building this business with great potential. And they're sitting there being interviewed right alongside Sandy Sansing, one of the auto dealerships in our community. And you see the spectrum of entrepreneurs and their passion. And Jeff's comment to me was, he said, well, whatever Accounting Fly has done, I just was the guy sitting next to Eve Knight. So that was probably my favorite mental image from that whole year was seeing those generations of entrepreneurs right in front of us giving back to the students.
So as this continues to unfold, and it obviously is going to continue to expand, to grow, to penetrate, what are some of the near-term milestones we can start to look for, and what can we do to help you get there? What can Robin do to get there?
Absolutely. Great question, Stone. Glad you asked. There's a place in our entrepreneurial ecosystem, and that's really the term that we've been using in recent years to describe the way that we as service providers work together to support entrepreneurship. So there is room in the ecosystem in the greater Pensacola area for everyone, for both service providers and for entrepreneurs. If you're a business owner and you desire to give back, then I have tenants in the CIE that are more than willing to have that conversation and learn from your mistakes. If you're a service provider to entrepreneurs, then there are definitely places for you to get plugged in and connect with the growing entrepreneurs in our community. And we have lots of events. I really was trying to list out a few things that we've got going on this fall that, in addition to the Pensacola Network, that bring people together around subject matters specific to business growth and entrepreneurship. And as we've been talking about Young Entrepreneurs Academy, we are launching that program again this fall. We're looking at a late October start date, and we just opened those applications for the 2016 class. So if you're a student in grades 6 through 12, we invite you to come participate. If you've ever thought, hey, it'd be cool if I could sell my product on Etsy, or hey, it'd be really neat if I could take my lemonade stand to the next level, whatever that business idea is. Or maybe you've always thought that an app for this certain application could be beneficial. We would definitely love, as a Young Entrepreneurs Academy, to help you grow that idea, develop that idea, create a business plan around it, get you some seed funding from our Shark Tank panel, which Miss Cindy Warren has been on.
Oh, I got to hear more about that. In one or the other of the interviews, I got to hear about this Shark Tank panel.
It's pretty fantastic.
We'll get you some more money, Thomas. You stay with us.
Well, and that's what's amazing about it, and that's what takes, to me, the Young Entrepreneurs Academy to the next level. Is there's skin in the game from the business community. They're putting their dollars on the line from a sponsorship standpoint and granting it to these student businesses. And these students, I don't know what kids are like these days, but I know I never saw $1,000 in the 7th grade especially to build something that I thought would be cool. So it's neat giving the students the opportunity to vie for those dollars and pitch their business idea, because everything that leads up to that pitch is formative. Everything that leads up to them having to go through financial projections, again, in the 7th grade, having to look at all of those things, or maybe the 11th grade, having to put those things down on paper and think through the mechanics of what does a business really have to go through as they're preparing to launch. And then also to the high of being funded, and then okay, now that I've got the money, the rubber hits the road, and let's build a product. And then we give them the opportunity to sell or expo that product at a trade show at the end of the year. So so that's kind of what we're building to between now and the end of April, is taking another group of hopefully to about 20 students through that process.
Well, I've met 2, so 1 in each broadcast, and I've been blown away both times with the young people that I've met. So I can't wait to meet more. So I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to meet more. Now, you're also involved with what's the right word? The technical community, the IT community.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes,
visited
sir.
with a gentleman earlier this morning with
IT Wired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that is our that's the Gulf Coast Premier Technology Summit. It's happening October 22nd and 23rd, and we are in the next 2 days, I believe, going to announce our slate of speakers. And we've got a action-packed day planned for October 23rd. We have speakers on the subject of cybersecurity, mobility, mobile devices and wearable devices.
Mm-hmm.
We've got professional development for IT professionals, as well as a tech maker / incubator track. So really addressing the needs of the startup. How do you've got this technical skill, but then how do you build a business around that technical ability? So it's going to be a really exciting event, and tickets are available at i10wired.com.
I think the real great thing about that, it's going to take place at the Hilton, Pensacola Beach Gulf Front.
Well, earlier today, I saw you hammering Jim Rhodes about being there, and I actually do think we probably
No, that's a great idea. And just remind again, October 22nd, 23rd, you can go to i10wired Summit 2015. That's going to be exciting. So you're expecting a big turnout, and you're going to be having some great events. And so even if you're just a spectator and you're interested in that community, maybe not necessarily presenting, you come on down and be involved and feed off that energy as well.
Absolutely, that's so true. And the interesting thing about i10 and i10 Wired, everybody always says, well, is that associated with the interstate? Well, no, not at all. It's ITEN. It is an acronym for Innovation Technology Entrepreneurs Network. So i10 Wired Summit. The summit date, again, is October 23rd, and i10wired.com is where you can find out more information and register for the event.
Well, I would ask you about all the other things that you're into, but we don't know when we'd be done. Yeah. But is there anything else you want to make sure that we get out to the folks or mention with regard to events or that kind of thing?
Well, at this point, I would say that Young Entrepreneurs Academy applications are open. i10 Wired Summit registration is open and live. And we've got an action-packed fall for the Pensacola area, both in the tech community and the entrepreneurial community. If you are an entrepreneur, or if you're interested in entrepreneurial development, I would absolutely love to speak with you. My email address is kreeser@floridawesteda.com. And our website for Florida West is floridawesteda.com, or for the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship is gulfcoastinnovation.com.